Okay, we're going on to the function and logarithmic functions, section 1.9 in additional exercises. So let's take a look first then at the vocabulary and see what we can fill in. And I'll write them in here as we go along. In a what function, the output depends on a variable that in turn depends on another variable. Well, this is a composite here. A function of f is what if different inputs have different outputs. That is, the x has a y and they're not repeated. Well, this is a one-to-one. Exchanging the first and second coordinates in all ordered pairs in a relation results in the inverse relation or correspondence. The function f is one-to-one if it passes which test? And that was the horizontal line test. Okay, so those weren't too bad, and these were the things we've talked about. So let's go on and take a look at some of these. We're not going to do them all because that would take up too much time, but we're certainly going to go through the procedure of how to do them. So once again, they're asking us to find this, where the given is this. And over here, we're asked to do the F composite of G, where it is a 1. So for here, we're going to put in a 1. So that's going to be 3 times 1 minus 2. So that's going to give us a 1. We now take the 1 and put it in here. So we get 1 squared plus 5. And that will give us a 6. Okay, let's look at the next one here. We'll leave this up. For this one, we're doing G composite with F. And we're still using the 1. Now, this time we put the 1 in there. So the 1 squared is 1 plus 5. Well, this is going to be a 6. This was A, and this was B. Now we put the 6 in there. 3 times 6 is 18, minus 2 gives us a 16. Okay, so this is going to become a 16 here. Now for letter C, Here we're going to do the same again as this one. Function f circle g, where we're going to use the x. So here our x is this right over here. So we're going to put this into our x there. So our x is 3x minus 2, the quantity squared, plus 5. So that will give us, as we square this, 9x squared minus 6 double it, 12x, plus 4, and then our 5. So this will give us then for that 9x squared minus 12x plus 9. Now if we reverse this, we get g circle f, and again they still want us to use the x, but this time our x is this. So for d, we put our x there, so it's going to be 3 times 3x minus 2, the quantity square. Well, there's actually, and it could be confusing, so let's do that correct. Again, this is our x. So this goes where the x is. So the 3 out there is correct, and then we just put this in there, x squared plus 5, and then we bring down our minus 2. So this then becomes 3x squared plus 15 minus 2. So when we put it over here, this is going to be 3x squared plus 13. Okay, there's a very, very typical example of what we've been doing. And by the way, if we put a 1 in there, for this one, it should turn out to be a 6. And if we put a 1 in there, it should turn out to be a 16. And doing it a little bit mentally, I see it checks. Okay, let's do one with fractions here. And I'll move it up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. Right there. And let me get it set up. So in doing 6a, we're going to look at our g value right here. We want to determine what this will become if x is a 1. So 1 squared is 1. So this becomes a 1. We put a 1 there. 1 minus 6 is 5. Now if we switch it around and put a 1 there, 1 minus 6 is 5. And then we move it into here, we're going to go 1 over 5 squared is 1/25. Now for this next one, that was also B. Now for C, if we have x here, this is going to be our x, where we're going to put it there, so it becomes 1 over x squared. We're replacing, this is our x, we put it there, which is that, minus 6. Now this is our x, we're going to put it there for letter D, and that becomes 1 over x minus 6, the quantity squared. So this is our new x for D that we're going to put in there, and we have to square it. And this then becomes 1 over x squared, multiply that, double it, 12x plus 36. And that's what D is. Okay, again, there are some more answers, and in our additional exercise booklet, we do give you the answers on the end of things here. And we'll pass that up for a while. Let's take a look at this here. Now, we didn't do any like this in our PowerPoint slides, but they were in our textbook lecture. So let's take a look at this. We're wondering if this is the results of a composition, what might these functions have been? Well, again, this could be your x, so this could be x squared. And then here, this could be your x over here. So that if we had f circle g, this would be our x value that would then fit in there. And there's a little mark there that shouldn't be there. There, that's better. Now, for this one, again, they take a little bit of study, but following this pattern, once you sort of catch on, and then what is this? And if you sort of catch on, this is going to be 4 over x, and this is going to be 4 over, or I should say, let me take that away here, just the denominator here. So that when we have this, this is our x value. We just put this over here. Yeah, there's no number on top. Sorry about that. Okay. And others are there as well. In this one, they're asking, determine whether each function is a one-to-one. Well, if we were to graph that, our y-intercept is a -4, and our slope is a 3 over 1, so over 1 up 3. This would be the graph of what we have here. And first of all, is this a function? Yes, that is a function. Secondly, does it pass the horizontal line test? That is drawing that line. It's only intersecting in one place. So it does. So this is a yes. This is a one-to-one. Now this one, you may or may not recall, is a parabola. and it's going through at 5 here. 1, 3, 4, 5, and it looks like so. Now, as we do the vertical line test, is this a function? Yes. But does it pass the vertical line test? The horizontal line test? And the answer is no. So this is not a one-to-one. This one is yes. It passes both vertical and horizontal. This passes the vertical, but not the horizontal. So this is not a one-on-one. Let's raise it up. Now, as we look at number 19, does number 19, so as we look at example 19, does this pass the vertical line test? Yes. But does this pass the horizontal line test? No. So this is not a one-on-one. As we look at F, or I should say this next one, we have this curve. Is it a function? Does it pass the vertical line test? Yes. Does it pass the horizontal line test? Yes. So, yes. This is a one-to-one relationship. Now I'm going to jump back to something I had passed up earlier. So here is this table where we are asked to do these F0G, F composite G, or F composed of G, where we're looking for 1. So how does this start off? Well, it starts off where we go to our chart, and our X is a 1. Now, what is our G value there? Well, our G value is 0. We then go back to our X, where this 0 is there. What's in our F column now? 3. So our output of this machine is 3. Now let's look at this one. Again, we start at 1. But now, what do we have there for our F value? Our F value is negative 1. We go to negative 1 here, and what is our G value? It is 5. And we look at this next one, which is another way of showing this one. G, composite of F. So we look in our X column at 0, right there. Our F value is a negative 2. We go to negative 2. And I'm catching myself too many marks in here. So let's do this one again. We're going to 0 right there. Now our F value for 0 is 3. Now we look in our X column, there is no 3. So for this one, it's not defined. And I'm going to take my marks off of this column here. All right, now we go to this composite, where in our X column we're looking for 0. We're looking for our G value, which is negative 2. We then go to negative 2 in our x value, and then we look in our f column and we get 0. And that is how you use these particular charts. Okay, now for number 21, what we want to look at is determine whether it is a one-to-one relation, and if it's a one-to-one, find the formula of its inverse. So we see that this is y equals x plus 1, which is just a nice straight line, which is a one-to-one. So it's yes, it's one-to-one. And now what is the inverse function? Well, we need to exchange the x and y. So this is going to become x equals y plus 1. And now we're going to solve for y. So y equals, and I have to be careful of my signs here, this becomes a negative 1. And then we reverse this to its inverse function. So there, remember, this is its function, this is its inverse function. All right, this is also a straight line and passes both the vertical and horizontal. So we're going to rewrite it. Y equals 5x minus 2. We're going to reverse the x and the y. The x goes there. The y goes there. We're going to solve for the y. This becomes x. As we bring that over, that's where I had my other error. It goes over as a positive 2, 5y. We then divide both sides by 5. I'm going to do that mentally. And we get y equals x plus 2 over 5. So this is a yes. And this is going to be inverse notation equals x plus 2 all over 5. All right, this is a parabola, so it does not represent a one-to-one relationship, so no. So it doesn't have an inverse. All right, those weren't too bad, and I think we've got the rhythm on that. And let's do some of these, and we will solve for them. Okay, going on here, as we look at this, now when we go to solve the inverse of this, we're changing this to y over 2x. Now we're reversing the signs, and we're solving for y. Well, notice then the y's cancel out here, and we get x y equals 2, and we divide both sides by x again, and we get y equals 2x. So the inverse of this, g inverse, is actually the same as we originally started. And that's kind of a unique one. Okay, here it's going to be y, and this is a funny shaped one, and it's yes, it passes. It's a one-to-one relationship. Y equals x to the third plus 2. We now switch it around. This is going to be x. This is y to the third plus 2. We then transpose the 2, and this becomes x minus 2, transposing that sign is y to the third, and this is going to become then the third root. Y is equal to the third root of x minus 2. So this is going to be g inverse of x equals the third root of x minus 2. Now as we look at number 10, remember this is y equals 10. And if you remember when we graph that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's a horizontal line that looks like so. Does this pass the vertical line test? No, when it reaches 10, it's infinite number of spaces, not just one. So this is not a one-to-one, so there is no inverse of that. Okay, going on to our last little part of this. Now they want us to graph each function and its inverse using the same set. Well, what technique might you use to graph the first one? Well, it's in slope-intercept form. Remember, this is y equals this. So we have a positive 3. Our slope is 5 over up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. So this line is going to look like that. And its inverse would be, oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's see if I can get back to it here. Nope. Sometimes I can get back to it. So as we find the inverse of this, we exchange the y and the x. We now solve for y, bring the 3 over, it becomes a negative 3. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 5/4. This then becomes 5/4 x minus 15/4, which is almost, well, is 3 3/4. So in plotting this, we go 3 3/4, which is right about there. And now we're going to go over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go up 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we put our line in there. And let's put our axis of symmetry in there, which is this one. And we'll make this dotted here. And you see they are kind of narrowing here, that eventually they would actually intersect way out there. And this graph is in your answer key as well. Let's move it up for our last one here. And if you had a calculator, you could actually plot both of these, but to find the inverse, again, we're going to have y equals x to the third minus 4. This will then be x equals y to the third minus 4. We transpose the 4, it becomes plus y. Take the cube root of this, and this is the inverse function. And if you remember, this is the typical graph of a cube, and let's plot in the hey, I did pretty good on that because I just sketched these in. There's your axis of symmetry. And that'll wrap up this section. Now again, lots of stuff going on here. Work on your practice. There's not too many. It gives you the flavor of what we're covering as we continue to work on Chapter 9.